Well, it's middle of the week and I got a little bit of time. Haven't had any work calls today, so time to do a little bit of yard cleanup. And as you can see, I went ahead and processed all the stuff that was piled up, threw it on the ground, started up the lawnmower. Of course, the cord broke, so I had to buy a new one with a new pull. Put that in there and got this all mowed down. That's about the last of my gas. So for the first time, well, second time this year, I'm gonna have to go to the gas station and fill one of my 5-gallon containers. So I've already used 5 gallons of gasoline in about up till November's worth of yard maintenance. I have some little bit of grass outside to cut and so on. Now what I've done, as usual, I cut off all the dead and dying leaves on these banana plants. I cut down this one that already produced fruit, and I chopped it up in little pieces and then ground it up in the lawnmower. At it, you can see it's already breaking down. It's been about a week. It won't be long before it just turns into dirt. And over here I did the same thing. I always rake along the pathway and then rake everything up to the middle, grind it up, and this will, in fairly short order, break down into soil. There's a little bit of material there that's dry. I can grind out the lawnmower, or I can burn it when I have the barbecue. I use these dead banana leaves to start my fire when I'm cooking. So this morning, my vegan friend, she comes over with a few buckets to get some more compost. I'm thinking, why do you want more compost? You come here all the time, you take my compost and put it in your garden, you say things go well, and then after a while they don't go so well. So what's going on? And of course, because of the political theater in the selection process, she's in a complete breakdown mode, blows up, gets mad at me. Oh, I don't need your compost, this and that. Okay, that's fine. But I'm trying to explain, look, you've been doing this for a couple of years. You're always coming here needing something. Why not learn how to compost on your own? I've showed you many times. I've explained to you the benefits of composting. But what do I know? I'm a carnivore. I don't know anything about plants. I don't generally eat them. So what can I say? Well, the thing that I was trying to explain, and this is something that I see a lot on the carnivore channels, they talk about a gut microbiome. In other words, you eat, you have bacteria inside of your body that helps you break this stuff down. Now, this material here, a plant can't use it. What is a plant going to do with this? Nothing. Plants do not have a digestive system. They have leaves, stems, roots, and they can only absorb mineral compounds from the soil, and they need water as a solution to do that. Pouring water on this may yield a little bit of a tea, but it's not going to be anything that the plants can use. So they have to be able to digest this material into a form they can use. Now think about, for example, green leaves need nitrates. Well, there's nitrogen in the air. In fact, most of the air is nitrogen gas. And there's carbon dioxide gas. The plants can use that very easily. But where do they get the nitrogen from? Well, they have to get it from the roots in the soil, and there's not much nitrogen gas in the soil. Plus, nitrogen is very stable. We often use that in places that we don't want to have corrosion. So the plants, they took solar energy, they turned this stuff into carbohydrates, and this is all fiber basically, and that fiber is useless to them, so they discard it. When they no longer need the leaves, they absorb what they can and they drop them off. And this is what all this is. Now, a lot of it is stuff that I trimmed. You can see over there, there's a piece of a banana leaf, and there's some of this bowstring hemp. I trim it because I'm trying to maintain a certain openness. This yard, if I let it go, would be completely overgrown, and you wouldn't be able to walk through here. There'd be weeds growing up, there'd be dead branches falling down. It would be completely useless. But again, since I live here and I'm a human being, I like having this where I can walk around. I got my bike over here. I can ride that through here, and my lawnmower and all this stuff. By the way, this is all that's left of the old station wagon, these rusted out bumpers. I got to take a torch to this. I want to save some of these chrome nuts. They have like a little stainless steel cover, and I'm also going to try to recover the chromium this little bit that's on there along with a nickel, because I actually do my own chrome plating at times. I was cleaning out a house and they had these stainless steel tables, so I went ahead and used them as plant holders. I love reusing stuff. Now, again, I told my friend, if you want to have a real organic garden, you have to have a garden that recycles everything. Conventional farming, you have inputs and outputs. You need as much output as possible. That's what the farmers call yield. So you have to keep putting inputs. But in a natural system, inputs and outputs are basically balanced. And all this material, all this biomass that's produced by plants is basically useless until it is converted into a form that they can use. Now there are several ways to do this, but they all involve breakdown of the material. Breakdown through acids, bacteria, fungi, and so on. Now we know that if an animal eats leaves and other plant material, and they're designed for that, they can use bacteria to break it down. They can absorb what they need and excrete the rest, which goes into the soil. Now, if an animal eats this material, you're going to have nitrates as a byproduct of all that bacterial activity, which acts like a fertilizer. This is why manure is such a popular fertilizer. And I used to have my ducks here helping me with that, but now that my ducks are in hiding, I don't see them hardly at all. I have to go back to doing it the natural way. Now, in a forest, you don't develop a lot of soil. If you've ever been into a forest, you'll see that the amount of soil there doesn't really change over the years because there's a lot of biomass in the trees. And as the biomass falls to the ground, it breaks down at about the same rate that it's absorbed. So the net effect of soil is going to be slightly positive or nothing. When animals are present, as long as you have sufficient amount of rainfall and sunlight where the grass and other plants can grow, and not too many animals, those animals will be eating and excreting material. That material will build up faster than it would normally break down, and your grassland would start to build soil. Now, it may take 100 years or more to build a slight amount of soil, maybe half an inch or whatever it is, but again, the more rain you have, the more likely that this will speed up. You could have an inch of soil in 100 years. Now in my yard, which is going to use mechanical means such as this lawnmower, and I'm constantly trimming material myself, there's a lot of biomass in these trees. It's all being turned into basically stuff like this, which is then ground up. Now I do have a wood chipper, although it's been out of commission. I'm going to work on fixing that. What I have been doing is cutting it into larger branches, stacking them up off to the side, letting them dry, and then burning them on the grill to cook my food. But the net effect is that all this material is returned to the ground. And if you look, you can see that the walkway that originally came with the house in 1959 is lower than the yard. In fact, the yard is so high, when we had a flood a few years ago, this was the only yard that remained completely high and dry, although this walkway was underwater. Now, for a period of time when I was not living here, I let this go. And all this soil and everything basically started to deflate. It was still high, but it wasn't as high as when I was constantly feeding it. What you've got here is the plant's digestive system. They don't have their own digestive system, but they have the soil. And as long as this is constantly fed with plant material, animal waste, and of course water, even some of these rocks, they seem to get moved around. This stuff dissolves down and it provides material that the plants can absorb and regrow with, which I think is fascinating. And the thing is, while this happens in the natural world, we humans can actually speed up the process. We can make it work better. But the key is to have nothing being taken out more than's going in. So if you're going to eat these fruits and vegetables, it would be a good idea to take your waste, whether it's liquid or solid, and process it on site. And then you could return that material to the soil. That's what I do with my biogas digester, which one of these days I'll show you when I'm sure that I'm not going to get in trouble for it like I did the last time that I did it over 10 years ago. But again, here it is. And for those of you that wonder, why bananas are plants and not trees. The stems are actually made of wrapped up leaves. And if you look at where this one was cut off, you can kind of see that. Also notice that they grow by producing these little sprouts or buds. Some banana growers call them pups. Here's the main plant. See how the sprout comes out of the side and grows upward. Now, as these grow, they tend to spread out from the center. Now, this one's been here about a year and a half. This one has died out, and as you can see, it will start to rot. Now, a lot of times what will happen when this rots, it'll rot down into the root system, and it will rot, and sometimes the sucker that's next to it or that's coming off of it will rot as well and die. You see that happening a lot here. But on this one, that's not the case. And this over here, if you notice it, is an old walk-behind trencher that was junk that I was going to cut up for parts, and it ended up turning into part of the yard. So one of these days I'll deal with that. For now, it's just a neat little yard ornament. And there's the little stainless steel table. These pots are actually old washing machine tubs from washers that I've stripped for parts and scrap. So I try to reuse that whenever possible. This is one of my really old lawnmowers. I'm debating whether it's repairable or I'll just scrap it. I found this pressure washer on the side of the road. I'm going to see if I can get that started, and if not, it's going in the back of the truck with the rest of the scrap. You'll see that the scrap has been taken. My friend finally got rid of a lot of it, and I'm starting to add more to it. So as I go through stuff, there it is. Here's one of my cages. I like to collect these things for catching ducks and other parking lot chicken and so on. I can stick them in here in the van, and then the little door is over there. And then when I'm ready, I can use them for breeding or for cooking. As you can see, this banana plant, see how it's kind of spindly and stunted? This is outside of where this one over here rotted down. So this one may or may not regrow. We'll leave it be. And some of the other ones, the sprouts have died off. So it's almost self-thinning. But again, the success or failure of these banana plants depends a lot on the soil, because the soil is a digestive system. Other plants, such as this root beer plant, they're growing on their own. And most plants have associated fungi that actually help them grow. This banana sprout that was half dead, I actually put in this pot. It was an offshoot of this one of the burro bananas. They've been fighting a virus, and I'm trying to play around with soil conditions. I did modify the soil a bit, and I noticed that it put out a new leaf. So that may be an issue. A lot of plant diseases you find in the organic garden are caused by poor soil, because you know what they say about animals and humans, that the immune system begins in the digestive system. And since the plant's digestive system is the soil, this is also their immune system. So maintaining healthy soil is critical. And one of the most important things is to have good air circulation, so you don't have a dominance of anaerobic bacteria, which will tend to damage the plants. They also produce bad odors. If you come in my yard, despite the fact that I throw all my food scraps out here, whatever they are, bones, meat scraps, whatever the ducks wouldn't eat, and it's all ground out, plus cat manure, cat waste, litter, whatever, it's all thrown in here. There is absolutely no smell. The only thing I can smell is the house, 2 houses down, they're using their clothes dryer, and I can smell that chemical smell. But anyway, that's what I'm saying here, and hopefully my vegan friend will calm down and realize that the world is not ending. I don't know why people get so worked up over this political nonsense. When it comes down to it, really our biggest threat is more of a financial issue and of course an environmental issue. Here in Miami-Dade County, as they call it, we have a critical problem with waste. We have too many people in too little space and not enough landfill space. So they were burning some of the trash in an incinerator. Well, a couple of years ago, the incinerator burned down. So now they've had to ship the trash upstate. And I noticed, after doing a little research, Miami-Dade County generates, I think, almost double what an average city would generate. And that's because people here throw everything away. Composting and reuse is not an issue. But for me, anything I don't use either gets sent to the scrapyard to be recycled, or it gets turned into compost, or it used to be converted into energy. I was taking plastic and turning it into diesel. Now, again, the reason that I haven't been able to do it much is because the government, the county, with their stupid zoning and all their other regulations, this is all illegal. Can't do any of that. Even the composting, I've had battles with them many times over the years. Now, today it's accepted. When I first started it, they consider this to be unacceptable, and they try to fine you $200 or $250 a day or whatever it was just for having a compost pile. Well, that seems to be changing. I think they're actually encouraging composting. But the fact is, without people willing to do this, nothing's going to change. It's easier to just throw everything in the green can over there and let the county handle it, or take it to the dump. Just like a friend of mine. He picks up every single leaf, branch, berry, everything, puts it all in the green garbage can, or loads it on his truck and takes it to the dump. Then he wonders why his yard isn't doing so well. I keep telling him composting is easy, but he won't do it. And I hate to say it, a lot of times I feel that no matter how much you try to convince people of what makes sense, they won't believe you. So anyway, that's what I'm up to, and I hope your day's going to be good, and I'll catch you later.